I'm going to go through an example now to demonstrate the send and return effects in Cubase. These are known as effects channel tracks. And in the track list, I'm going to right click or control click, and that's to bring down onto add effects channel track. I'm going to drop down the actual effect that I want to use, and I'm going to come down to earlier VST plugins, to reverb, and then to RoomWorks SE. It's a stereo effect here. Let's just keep it that way. And you can see here the RoomWorks SE has come to the foreground. You can also see on the track list that we have the effects channel track here selected. I'm going to take the mix to 100%. This is what you would do if you have a send and return effect. So that's always an instant thing to do. And that means we're going to hear just the wet effect coming back on the actual effects channel track fader. A couple of other things that I'm going to do. I'm going to change the actual pre-delay time to about 150 milliseconds. And this is pretty much a little bit of space before the reverb tail occurs. It can be a really nice thing to do in a track so that things don't sound too messy. If it reverbs straight away, it's going to sound a little bit cloudy. So this gives us some space before the reverb tail comes in. So let's also take the reverb time. So that's the actual reverb tail. Let's take it to about 5 seconds or so. And I'm also going to take diffusion to 80%, and that's going to be the thickness of the reverb effect. So what we need to do is we need to send the clap signal into the reverb. So if we come over to the clap, I'm going to play it for you just as it is. This is coming from a instrument track. Okay, we've got the Halion 1 here. The R&B kit is just a MIDI sequence. It's triggering that clap. So what we would need to do is to take the output of the actual Halion 1 and use the send level to actually feed signal into the effects channel track. On the inspector, you can see here that we've got the sends available. If I click on this and if I hold down the mouse and drop down, I can choose the RoomWorks SE, which is the only effects that we have loaded at the moment. I've got to turn the power on, and then we can send signal into it. This small line here represents the amount of level, and I'm going to basically take it about halfway, and let's have a listen, see how that sounds. This is a very big expansive reverb sound. If I push F3, I'll show you on the mixer here what's happening. You can see that you've got the actual clap. It's just called Phase Me, and then we've also got the effects return over here, so we can adjust how much signal comes back from the reverb unit. I'll take it down the bottom first and I'll bring it up, so you can hear the signal now more so. So back where it was before, the dry signal here, the affected signal here, we're blending the two together. So let's have a look. We've got the effect here on the effects channel track. So this is actually a series of inserts, and it's the first effect is the RoomWorks SE. So let's add another one underneath so that we can actually color just the reverb tail. Once again, this is not the original dry channel, the clap itself. We are just doing this on the effects return. So let's drop down here, and we're going to go to modulation. Going to go to the phaser, which is one of my favorite effects. Very popular in the 70s. It adds this really kind of mystical, kind of spacey flavor. I'm going to turn off tempo sync. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the speed quite slow. They call this the rate. So I'm going to go to 0.2 on here. And I'm also going to take the mix. Actually, no, I'm going to keep the mix about 50. And spatial 75 is good. Feedback 50 as well. So let's see what happens now. The reverb is going to be created, and the reverb tail is going to then be phased, and this is going to add a really nice, interesting effect. So you can hear that. It's quite dramatic, quite spacey. If you want to really increase the kind of spaciness, take the feedback higher. Much more exaggerated, and you hear that tone going up and down. If you want to increase the speed of that, that's the rate. So I'll take that faster for you so you can hear it. So very fast. Let's take it down. and then back down again to the slower time. So you can see there how you can flow the effects from one to another on the effects channel tracks, and it's a nice way to add interesting space to the mix.